Morning, friends and family. John Miller, your Lake Stevens Realtor, coming at you here on a Monday, chilly Monday morning, December 28th of 2020. Wrapping up 2020. I know a lot of us are excited to see this year finally go away. I trust everyone had a pleasant Christmas, happy Christmas. You got everything you wanted from Santa. Um, let's see here. Today we're going to do our forecast, my forecast for 2021 for the real estate market and the economy here, especially focusing on the Puget Sound and the Pacific Northwest. Obviously, this has been an interesting year. We were right on the edge of a recession coming into 2020. It was kind of a foregone conclusion. We had exceedingly low inventories here in the Northwest, primarily because of our job market and a real exodus of people coming from Southern California. So it was really bolstering our local economy and our real estate market, which was great. And then in March, everything went sideways with the coronavirus. A lot of sellers, and I've got a few that I'm speaking to, that a lot of my sellers who were planning to sell this year held off and said, you know what, with all the upheaval with civil unrest and the presidential election and the coronavirus, we're just going to hold off and just see what happens. And I expect a lot of those people will probably list their homes when everything returns to normal this spring, which is what we're predicting. Obviously, with record low interest rates, the Fed's dumping a ton, trillions of dollars, trillions with a T, into the economy to keep everything going, and then keeping those interest rates down, as we're going to talk about here at the end of this video. And then obviously prices would continue to increase during the year. It was from March for a few months, everything kind of shut down, but then we had the real estate market picked up in the late summer and fall, and was actually a pretty good year. It was a good year for me. I made good money. So the strength of the real estate market is really what determines how quickly we get out of a recession. So the question then becomes, what happened with our recession? Was that it, or is it delayed, or are we looking at a double dip recession? What are we looking at? European markets are already out of their recession, and they're predicting, no, we're good. We're gonna, when everything takes off, we expect everything to go back to normal. Obviously, a lot of this is uncharted territory. I wish I said, here's the model, here's what we're looking at historically, here's what we're looking at. We just don't know. We have some predictions, but as for where things stand on a macroeconomic level, we just don't know. Obviously, January here in the next week, we're going to have a lot of buyers entering the market. Unfortunately, there's still very, very little inventory, especially in the lower price bands. If you're a first-time home buyer, you're going to be struggling, and unfortunately, there's not much we can do to help you. Let's see here. We do expect March to have everything. By then, we'll have a significant portion of our population vaccinated. Things will return to normal. Return to normalcy, as it were, and we'll see the new listings come on the market, and we should have a fairly strong summer, at least the market to stabilize a bit. Seattle proper is the only exception to that rule. We are seeing a real exodus out of the city centers because of the civil unrest and the disease. There are a lot of numbers that are going out that can be very confusing to people. A lot of people, gosh, it looks like the prices are still increasing in Seattle. Yes, they are. However, that's based on the fact that there's a lot of people selling their homes in Seattle. And a lot of those people are people with equity and in some of the higher price bands. So it is, if you look past the numbers that are out there, you see that there's actually a real exodus of people. Yeah, they're selling their homes, but they're selling at the top part of the market is what's happening. I expect here we will see some price numbers start to soften, and especially in certain price bands and with certain products, especially the condo market in Seattle. We expect that to decrease over time. Overall, it should be a strong market for 2021. That's what we're predicting. There's obviously a lot of unknowns. Well, what I would recommend for buyers, obviously, you want to be buyer ready day one, seller same thing, seller ready, market ready day one. That's what's going to make the winners in this market. There are a number of concerns that I have and a lot of economists have, and I'll share those with you. Obviously, we're still continuing to build what's called the affordability gap, and that is basically the gap of an ever-growing segment of the population who can't afford housing under any circumstance, whether it be rental or a purchase, and they just can't. And I mean, this is something that's been building probably for the last 5 years. But 5 years ago, this Puget Sound became a very expensive place to live. And we've got a lot of people who are sitting on a lot of equity, but for those people who didn't purchase and are renting, and they're sitting under an eviction moratorium or what have you, we're going to see a lot of landlords start to sell their properties, especially in some of the urban areas. We're already seeing in our office. We're already seeing listings come on, or we've got sellers that are contacting us. Hey, I think I want to dump my rentals in Seattle. Unfortunately, that doesn't bode well for the urban areas. Interest rates obviously have nowhere to go but up. I mean, 2.66 on a 30-year fixed, which is historically, it's the lowest number ever recorded. It's a great time to refinance, great time to purchase, and it's going to put. Unfortunately, there's a drawback to it, and what's going to happen if interest rates increase. And they will. They just do. Historically, 8% is a good interest rate, and a lot of people, we just haven't seen that number in decades. And if there is a return to anything even close to that, we'll have a lot of buyers hold off, saying, well, just wait to the market until they come back down again. That may not happen. This may be the last time we see interest rates at these price levels, or these percentages. The other part of it is going to lock people in their homes. When I say lock people, it means that like my wife and I, we have a nice big home here in Lake Stevens, and we're raising our daughter. My mother lives with me now, and we live very comfortably. It's a 2,000 square foot home. But I know my mother isn't going to be around forever, and my daughter's going to be moving on here in the next few years. And that would just leave my wife and I. We probably don't need that size of home. It would be appropriate to downsize. But I'm sitting on 3.25% on a 30-year fixed. And hypothetically, if we do want to downsize and the interest rates are at 6 or 7, how do I make that switch? How do I walk away? Financially, it almost makes sense for me to stay where I are. That's what we talk about when we're locking people in their interest rates. We just and unfortunately, there are economists that are predicting that 15 to 20% of the population will be living and own a home and simply can't move. It's not just financially not feasible, even though it would make sense for them. They've got a big house and they're not using it, but what can I do? It doesn't financially make sense to buy something smaller because the payments would be about the same, because the interest rates would literally double or sometimes triple depending on where we are. We know taxes are going to be increasing. We obviously have a new administration. It'll be interesting to see what new policies. We've obviously been hearing about a few of them. We know taxes are going to increase. That obviously always puts a hamper on the economy as well. So all of those things, obviously there's a lot of focus on Seattle proper, and because the market kind of radiates out from there. And I've mentioned in a few previous videos, we've got convention services that are moving out. Hotels are closing. There's a lack of commercial liability insurance, which a lot of people say, well, so what? You don't ever have to deal with that. Well, unfortunately, that is going to put a real damper on any kind of business or planning a business in Seattle. A lot of people, why start a business in Seattle or Portland right now? That's just crazy. That will not help tourism. Tourism is a real boon to your local economy as well. If you don't have that, that's going to be a problem as well. So it's a lot of people are going to be real focused on what's going to be happening with Seattle politically and the real estate market here over the next 12 months as well. Anyway, if you have any questions about any of this at all, give me a call. We'll be happy to discuss it. Wherever we are, love you. Stay safe and healthy. I wish a happy new year for everyone. Again, we're looking, 2020 can just go away and we'll chalk that one up to that was a real mistake or what have you. So happy new year wherever you are. We love you, and we'll see you next year. Bye.